channel. But if you want to watch the new Mysterious Circumstances, it's a movie that was written and produced by Clark Richey of Baldwin. You'll have to tune in tonight to Mississippi Public Broadcasting. And he's joining us today to tell us a little bit more. Hey, Clark.
Hey, Rebecca. Thanks for having me on.
Well, congratulations, buddy. It's a big night for you.
It is. I mean, there are a lot of independent films made in Mississippi and other states, and to reach the point that you actually get a televised PBS broadcast of your feature film, not a documentary, not an educational or a historical piece, but an actual narrative feature film. Ours is about history, and that therefore it's good for PBS. But to get that on, it's a big deal for us, and we're really pleased with it. It's on 7 o'clock tonight across the state of Mississippi, all the PBS television stations.
So you wrote this and you produced it. So it's called Mysterious Circumstance. How do you describe it?
Well, I call it a Western, actually. It's a time when Mississippi was the far west in the country. It was 1809. We were still being settled here in this part of the country. I'm a great student of history and very interested in that, and especially the history of the area that I'm from, which is North Mississippi. And so this Natchez Trace history has always intrigued me. The fact that the Andrew Jacksons and the Meriwether Lewises and the Aaron Burrs of the world traveled right up and down in this area, and it's really not talked about that much anymore. And so it's always something that's really drawn my attention. And then the fact that Meriwether Lewis, of Lewis and Clark fame, died suspiciously within just a few miles of where I'm from on the Natchez Trace. It's a story that's just not well known and should be.
So how did you go about, I guess, researching for it? It feels like if there was a clear, understanding of everything that happened, then it would have maybe, more publicized, or maybe there are some good facts that you found that just went missing. I mean, but this was 200 years ago or more. So how did you sort of do the research or whatever behind it?
Well, the good thing about this particular story is that it's disputed by many versed historians even today. The conventional wisdom is that Meriwether Lewis committed suicide. But as you might suspect, in the early 1800s, basically it's one person that you just have to take his word for it or her word for it that that's what happened. There is no photographic evidence. The people are buried before there's any investigation. So you just pretty much have to take somebody's word for it. But over time, many pieces of information surfaced that made some historians and a lot of people in the area think that something else happened to Meriwether Lewis, not just he got distraught and committed suicide, which really was outside of his character. As being he was the American hero. He was the astronaut of his day. He was the Charles Lindbergh, and he was at the highest level in American popularity at the time of his death. And it's just strange that he would have killed himself in the middle of nowhere. And we go into all the reasons behind why it could have been one way or why it could have been another.
And Clark, you mentioned this is not a documentary, although it's based in history. It's why it's perfect for PBS to sort of pick it up. So how did you, as a producer and a writer, take this incredibly interesting story, riddled and laced with facts or sort of folklore or all in between, but then staying true to the facts, but then create but a story, not a documentary? Does that make sense? How did you do that?
Well, as I said, I've always been interested in history and the many stories of the Natchez Trace and rural frontier Mississippi, frontier Tennessee, and on into the West. But this particular story happened essentially in one location in a couple of days with a smaller cast. And so for an independent filmmaker, that's a really ideal situation. We have this monumental story that takes place on a sort of a small scale, so we could wrap our heads around it and go out there in Tishomingo County and get it done. We got John Schneider, Bo Duke, Dukes of Hazzard, Jonathan Kent from Smallville, and he's our headline actor. We got Evan Williams playing Meriwether Lewis. He currently has a show. He's the lead in a show on the Hallmark Channel right now. And then a lot of Mississippi actors and some other L.A. actors. And we just gathered it's like almost the old Our Gang comedies. We just got a group together and put a show on.
What was it like for you, Clark, to sort of watch it go from your idea on paper, number one, just a sort of a passion project, something you were interested in, to then to, writing a screenplay, I would assume, or how you write it, and then watching it be produced? Was it crazy to see it all unfold?
Looking back on it, Rebecca, it feels like that we walked a razor's edge to the only possible successful outcome. Everything seemed to happen. It's very appropriate that we're on good things because everything seemed to happen exactly as it had to happen for us to successfully complete this project. It's very gratifying, obviously, to write something and then see it acted out on screen, especially with super performers like we have in the film. The very first day I was ever directing a movie, I had John Schneider in some Daniel Boone buckskins riding full speed on a horse in the middle of nowhere up to a log cabin and jumping off with his rifle. It doesn't get any better than that for me.
Oh, I can only imagine. How long did it take you guys to shoot the film?
We shot the film in, I think it was 14 active shooting days over about 18 or 19 days. So certainly not a long shoot, but we got it done. And that's, again, back to the efficiency of being able to shoot the story in generally one location. We shot at Tishomingo State Park in Tishomingo, and then we shot at a cabin of 1840s. Very fortunate that we found an 1840s level cabin over there in Tishomingo County as well. So we had a lot of great support from the state, from the Mississippi Film Office, and from Mississippi Parks and Rec and Parks Department. They were behind us from the start and made it easy to get the film done.
Now, Clark, do you leave us hanging at the end, or do you kind of wrap it in a bow? Or, how do you... Well, you can't tell us the ending, but you can, what can you tell us?
I'll tell you this. I don't wrap it in a bow.
Oh.
It's not wrapped in a bow. So there's plenty of evidence in the film, I think, to let you know what I think, but I don't just knock it down to where you can't think anything else.
Because nobody will ever really know.
I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that gives us the opportunity to tune in. You mentioned it premieres tonight. You said 7 p.m. for us here in Mississippi.
Right.
If we happen to miss it or don't set our DVR, Clark, is there anywhere where we can stream it, go back and look at it? Will it be on PBS, like kind of in rotation for a little while?
It will not be in PBS on rotation, but you will be able to stream it elsewhere in the very near future. You can already rent and buy it on Amazon and iTunes and places like that.
Fantastic.
But as far as free television broadcast, tonight, 7 p.m., on Mississippi Public Broadcasting.
Okay, so that's Mysterious Circumstance. Do you have another film in the works? Do you still have your, history hat on, looking to do more production in Mississippi?
I definitely have my history hat on, and we are continuing to work with Mississippi Public Broadcasting. We've reached an agreement with them to investigate some other productions in the very near future, and we'll have more details on that soon.
You mentioned the first sort of a scene that you shot. Were there any other behind the scenes that you wish folks got to see or knew about as they go into watching the premiere tonight? Any fun facts or memorable moments?
Well, Meriwether Lewis suffered a lot when he died. He suffered a long time. And our actor, Evan Williams, really just was able to bring that out because, honestly, Rebecca, it was 37 degrees and he had a gown on. So he was able to actually suffer, and then that suffering transferred right over onto the screen. And so I think he did a wonderful job. But we had some, to make a period piece that's about the frontier, you have to go out into the frontier. So we were out in the frontier. It was cold. It was March in Mississippi in 2021, and we had a great group of people that just sucked it up and got it done, and Evan Williams did a great job. I think you'll see, if you watch the movie, you'll see how he suffers, and just know that it was really, really cold when that happened.
Well, I hope you pop yourself some good buttery popcorn, pour yourself something stout and strong and sit back and enjoy your moment. You've earned it, Clark, as well as the rest of the cast and crew and everybody that made it happen. So, again, congratulations. That's 7 o'clock tonight on PBS. That's Mysterious Circumstance. You can also stream it or buy it on YouTube or Amazon as well. So anytime you're in the area, Clark, stop by and say hi.
I sure will. Thank you so much, Rebecca.
All righty, you guys stick with us. We got some more good things for you coming up next.